Oh, Yao, you made a friend.
Here
we are again, not starting exactly at 9.
I thought I was going to
start today, and we're
you're
3
late.
minutes overtime, so hopefully we can be 3 minutes faster.
Doubt.
It's August 10th, Tuesday today, and here we
go. Are you
I never knew that hardship looked like... I never knew what hardship looked like until it started raining bowling balls.
Raining bowling balls.
So first thing I'm thinking is if I should take this literally or metaphorically.
Really, that's what you're thinking?
If I actually want to write a story about raining bowling balls, or if I want that to be a metaphor for something
that's happening in the story.
So I'm going to go ahead and just try to jot down the first notes that come to mind and see where that takes me, and then I'll check back in when I am ready to...
Ready to what? Oh my gosh. I don't have any facts.
Okay, so I
right now.
got a brief idea of what I want to do. Just going off the the sentence, I never knew what hardship looked like. The first part of the sentence alludes to the fact that our main character is super well off and super rich, and has then lost everything in the pilot, and that's kind of our why now. And our inciting incident is the main character losing their riches until it started raining bowling balls. The second part of the sentence, I was trying to figure out if I wanted that to be a metaphor or not. I decided to go literally, and the main external conflict is between the main character and a psychic who believes that her powers are real, but the main character doesn't. And then at the end, we see that her powers are real and she can make it rain bowling balls, and that's kind of a triumphant moment for her because she is starting to doubt if her powers are real too.
I have no idea what
so
you just
I have
said.
I usually like to get 3 characters and their wants, needs, plan to get what they want sort of thing fleshed out before I move on to the beat sheet. I have the main character, his daughter, and then the psychic as the main 3 characters, and what their motivations are and how they plan to work toward those motivations. So I'm going to go ahead and start a beat sheet right now, and then after that I'll start an outline in Final Draft and then get to writing. So it's only almost 9:40, so it took about 40 minutes, a little less than 40 minutes to get this idea together. Hopefully I can get the outline and beat sheet done pretty quickly, and then we are on to writing. All right.
Thumbs up. So since we're talking about bowling balls, I recently just saw that before the machines, they just had bowling alley workers stand there and roll your ball back and then set up the pins.
Beat sheet is done.
Crazy.
Beated it out.
Don't say that, man.
Some good meat to the story.
Come on.
Came across something that I wanted to add when I got to Act 4 and 5. Usually that happens if I want like a big reveal. I'll come up with it in Act 5 and then kind of go back and sprinkle in some like foreshadowing things.
Sprinkle some jimmies.
In Act 2 and Act 1 and 2.
Huh?
So that's what I'll probably do when I transfer this over to Final Draft. Change the beat sheet a little bit, or the outline, to kind of match what I want the reveal in Act 5 to be. So yeah, I'm going over to Final Draft now and going to write out the slug lines and sort of a synopsis of each scene, so that when I write, it's easier to just look at the synopsis and write. Hopefully I can get
as
done
least as possible.
Before 12, I should be able to get it done before 12, and then I can take a break for lunch.
What's for lunch?
I'm already pretty hungry.
I'm kind of hungry too.
For success.
Oh. So here's a fun fact. In the Middle Ages, bowling was the most addictive game among kings and soldiers. soldiers. In fact, King Edward III had to ban his soldiers from playing it. That's crazy. I wonder if they were playing with like a smooth ball or just like a rock.
Done with outlining. Not great. The story, I'm kind of grappling with storylines not making sense and chronologically not making sense.
Well, that's not
I
good.
know where I want the story to end up, but it's just about connecting the first act to the fifth act organically.
Connecting the dots
is difficult when you're doing it this fast.
I love that game.
And sometimes in Act 3 and 4 you kind of lose the way, and it's hard to connect where we start in Act 1 to how we end in Act 5, especially when you're rushing to get there. It's only 11:40 right now, which is a good time. Probably take a break for lunch, come back around 12.
What's for lunch?
And get started on writing a quick teaser, probably 2-3 pages, maybe even 1 to 2 pages.
Maybe even just 1 page.
And then get started on the rest.
Maybe less
just
than
by
a page.
looking at the outline we have right now. Act 1's pretty beefy. Act 2's pretty beefy. Act 3 is
beef.
bigger than usual. Usually my Act 3 is pretty small, and then Act 4 is small.
Burgers.
Act 5 is the smallest, just so we can get to the
Steaks.
final climax as soon as possible, and we don't really waste time at the end.
And it's back to me. Alright, and we got more bowling facts. So apparently you get a golden turkey when you bowl 9 strikes in a row. Kind of cool. Never really been anywhere near that. But first indoor bowling lane was built in New York City, 1840. Fried heads are the dried up portion of the first 15 or 20 feet of the lane. Fried heads. Alright, we're almost done.
Finally done with Act
Thank
1.
God.
That took a lot longer than I thought. 1, because I just wasn't paying attention. And 2, because I'm not that happy with the story right now, which kind of sucks.
That does kind of suck.
Honestly,
Sucks
I think
for
I need
us.
to spend more time on the outlining stage and the beat sheet, because writing a weak story is not fun, and
really
I
isn't.
really don't have time to fix it if I want to finish this in one day, less than 12 hours. So we're already at 3 p.m. I've only written Act 1. We're on page
Yikes.
18 now.
You're slow. Slower than a snail.
But here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Every time I do this, I can see why people don't do this.
I don't do that. Okay, back to bowling facts. The lightest one ever made, lightest bowling ball ever made, was 4 pounds. I think I'm a 10-pounder myself. Nice light balls, go real far.
So I'm finally done with Act 2, and I'm a lot farther behind than I wanted to be. It's 5 p.m. already.
Yikes.
That's probably the worst I've ever done in terms of finishing Act 1 and 2. And probably because in the middle of Act 2, I wanted to stop, and I wanted to not finish it at all. And I just lost motivation in the middle of Act 2, and that happened, you know? It happens. And I wanted to not do this anymore. I wanted to quit. But then
So dramatic.
I just took a little break, and I'm back to it. So I need to bang out Act 3 right now.
Do it.
I'm gonna follow this through. Gonna see it through. I think
Let's
it's
go.
worth seeing through, so that's why I'm gonna push myself to finish this.
Push
I've
it.
said in earlier videos that
To the
Act 3 and Act 4
limit.
is usually when I have trouble slogging through, just because it's kind of the middle of the script. I've been writing for non-stop good amount of time now, but we'll just push through.
Push it.
We can do it.
Yup.
Push hard to do what you want. Let's
Okay.
get it.
Oh, now it's back to me pushing hard to give you bowling facts. What haven't I read yet? The largest bowling center is located in Japan. It has 116 lanes. That's pretty big. Got a lot of impressive stuff in Japan. I would like to visit one day, but not today.
So we're at the end of Act 3.
Because we're writing.
It is 7 p.m. almost. So not the worst. I think this is about where I was the last challenge I did, even though it felt extremely slow and I pretty much didn't write at a point for like probably 2 hours because I wasn't feeling it. But I'm glad I've saw it through so far. At the end of Act 3, Act 4 and 5 should be relatively easy and more fun to write because that's where the action picks up. I'll probably take a break to eat dinner soon.
What's for dinner?
And then get back to writing. I think I can complete it before 9 p.m., hit it before that 12-hour mark.
Do it.
And hopefully finish it before 8 if I can.
Can you?
No, there's no way.
There's no way.
Maybe before 8:30, 8:45. Hopefully before 9. But let's do it.
8:50.
Keep on going.
He can do it. Look at him go. Alright, I'm not a bowling expert, but I'm pretty sure all the technique is in the spin. Never try to throw it normally. Try to whip it as hard as you can and get the spin rolling.
Time.
Time?
We are done. It is 8:30. That was
We're
actually
done?
faster than the one last
Start
week,
out.
even though I fell extremely behind in Act 2 and Act 3 was a mess. But Act 4 and Act 5 hit it out real fast. They were more fun to write. Like I said, Act 4 and 5 is always more fun to write because the action picks up and you're really moving.
More fun for
And
you.
I just got into the groove of things. We ended on page 51. Could be longer. Act 4 could be longer, I think. Just getting to that point where you really get the payoff of the final moment in Act 5. And then Act 5 was super short. I almost forgot what we've all been waiting for. I always forget.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So here we go.
Oh, here we go. What's he doing over there? What's he gonna do? Oh.
Banana time, banana time.
Yeah. Nice.
But okay, I'm going to read through it, tell you the thoughts on each act, and then my final thoughts, and then we'll be done. 11
Thank God I'm
hours,
tired.
30 minutes. Probably in all writing time, it was around 8 hours. I'm not sure if I should time my actual writing time or time like the whole thing, because I do waste a lot of time just doing nothing and thinking
breaks
that
are
I
a
don't
part
want
of
to do
it.
this and thinking that I want to quit.
That was quick.
But yeah, if only I didn't have those thoughts,
Same.
and if only I could concentrate better, then
Goldfish.
this would be a lot faster. But less than 12 hours is always a win.
Quick
so
dub.
I'm going to count this as a win. I was able to write 50 pages, full
51.
story, beginning, middle, end. Here we go on to the overview. Pachow. It's kind of like a banana gun. Pew, 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 pew.
Is it?
So for the teaser, we have
What you got for me?
just a brief scene, less than a page,
Less than.
of bowling balls
page.
falling from the sky, which is how we end the episode.
Just
So
getting
giving us
right
a
into
little
it, huh?
teaser to the end of the episode of how we're getting to this place where bowling balls are falling from the sky,
Classic
which is the original
flashback.
sentence. When I first started, I wanted to, play with the original sentence, bowling balls falling from the sky, as being, raining bowling balls is either metaphorical
been
or
over this,
literal.
like, 10
and I wanted to
times.
play with either of those, but I chose literal because it seemed more fun to have that aspect and
I do like
kind of have
fun.
a psychic who, in a rage of emotion, say that someone's future is going to be raining bowling balls seemed like a fun idea. So in the first act, we establish a couple things, which, that's what the first act is for, establishing our world, our characters, and what they want. So we established Charles Bastian, who is our main character, who's the CEO of a company. He's kind of shitty to his employees, and he doesn't really care about his employees as well. In the first scene that we meet him, he yells at a janitor for not drying the floor. And then we see him
ironic later.
In a conference room. He's talking to his board of directors about a big investment meeting that's coming up. And also, he talks to them about a party. To celebrate, this big investment. They're about to get their startup business off the ground, and that's where we come in to the story, is with them thinking about this big party and having this big investor come in. We cut to Charles's wife and daughter, Lily, who are out shopping. We established Charles's wife as someone who is in it purely for the money. She has a bunch of designer bags. She's willing to spend as much as she can of this guy's money.
That dude's rich.
While Lily doesn't really want to buy anything, but she gets enticed by a psychic shop. So she goes in alone, meets with the psychic, whose name is Mira Manticore, who is our, antagonist for Charles. And Mira
or protagonist
basically tells Lily that Lily is going to be a dancer when she comes up, pretty much just making it up as she goes along. And we see that Mira doesn't really believe in her powers, or thinks that she doesn't have powers, and it's she's kind of a fraud. So then Lily goes back to home. Charles meets her at home at night. He comes back from work, and Lily is dancing around. Charles, being the curmudgeonly, rich man that he is, says that you can't be a dancer, you need to go to school.
Classic rich man.
You can't waste your time dancing, you need to study. And then so that begins the resentment with Lily that we kind of build on through the episode, is that Charles is telling her she can't be a dancer when she seems so enthusiastic about being a dancer and dancing around. And then Charles is like, who told you this? She says, the psychic told me I should be a dancer. Charles says, you shouldn't. Later, we're back at Charles's work. Charles suggests that they have a psychic for their big party that we mentioned before as entertainment. People agree, and then Mira comes in for the party. I wanted the party to be before their big investment meeting, so they have a party first, and Mira basically says stuff about two guys in the room that prove to be true, so that everyone kind of believes her. Charles is making rude remarks the whole time about how broad her statements are. And so she points at him and says, you're a big man now, but you're going to be small and you'll be a janitor. And Charles obviously doesn't believe her. Everyone else kind of believes her, and they're shocked that Charles is going to be a janitor. And that's how we end Act 1. And that's where I wanted the pilot to lead. So that ending it on that note is my inciting incident. It's Mira meeting Charles. They clash, and then she spits out this prophecy that he's going to become a janitor. And now what we have to do in the pilot now is get him to be that janitor.
How?
And then, throw in what Charles wants, because obviously Charles doesn't want to be a janitor. But we're going to see how he gets there.
Titillating.
So we start off Act 2 with Mira thinking how she's going to fulfill her prophecy she just made by making Charles a janitor. So she's going to take it upon herself to make sure that prophecy comes true, to prove that she is not a fraud, even though she believes she's a fraud.
How's she going to do that?
So she has to go behind the scenes and make sure that this Charles Bastian guy gets taken down.
Take him down.
So then we go into another scene with Charles and Lily, his daughter. Lily's dancing around. He tells her again, you're not going to be a dancer. Again, building
this
that
happens like 5 times in the script, by the way.
To be throughout the pilot. And now we're at the big meeting with the top investor that we had mentioned in the first act. Charles is getting ready. Mira finds out, and we see when the big investor, his name is Tim Daly, first comes.
Big Tim.
Mira stops him before he enters, and she gives a prophecy of what's about to happen. We don't hear the prophecy, but we know that she's talked to this big investor. So the big investor goes in, meets with Charles. Charles gives him a presentation. Tim doesn't trust him, and Tim demands to see the numbers, which Charles has lied about. even though Tim couldn't have known that Charles was lying, but he does because Mira told him before that he would be cheated in his future, so that's why he's extra careful. So she is now breaking him down, and that's
like the Titanic.
Her first step of the plan is just to basically get him broken down from his position as CEO. So after their biggest investor, Tim,
it's a long fall,
leaves and basically says he's not in the business anymore, their biggest investor pulls out. Everyone's sad. Charles then goes to a prostitute. We see that this probably isn't the first time.
That's
Mira
a big jump.
follows him, catches him in the act, posts the photos online. Next day, we're back at work, and Charles is basically kicked out by the board of directors because, one, he lost their top investor, and two, this photo is circulating, and now their publicity is shot, and they need to basically fire their CEO who was caught in the scandal. So we end Act 2 with them kicking Charles out. Mira's plan is in motion, and we know it's working, and we see how he's now getting closer to becoming the janitor and fulfilling the prophecy that she foretold and is now trying to enact behind the scenes.
The descent into darkness.
Alright, and then so for Act 3, we're just escalating the plan, and basically Act 3, you want the midpoint to be, so I wanted him to become a janitor in Act 3, and then his, he doesn't want to be a janitor, so it's his midpoint getting to be a janitor, and then his reversal of he's gone to a place that he hates, now we really see what he wants, and he's going to enact in a crazy way to get what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
So, I forgot to mention at the end of Act 2, his wife leaves him as well.
Conveniently
of the picture that's circulating of him and the prostitute. So at the beginning of Act 3, we do a time jump 6 months later, with Charles and Lily, his daughter, moving into an apartment. And I thought a time jump 6 months was necessary here because I wanted the aftermath of the divorce and losing his spot as CEO to really seep in, and him to not have any more money, basically. And that seemed impossible to have it chronologically right after
just a broke
his wife left him.
girl.
So I thought there needed to be time that passed before those two acts. So we jump 6 months later. Lily and Charles are in an apartment. He hates it. She thinks it's okay. He tells her that he has enough money to live comfortably. He doesn't need a new job. But then we see that he does, in fact, go to a job interview where the recruiter says, we only have one position here, and that's a janitorial position. He's like, are you kidding? And she's like, no. So then he says, I'm not doing this, and he leaves. No. He goes back home. Lily says she's hungry. She's asking for food. She's asking for this expensive stuff. She's asking for sushi, steaks, oysters, lobster, the expensive stuff they used to eat when he was a CEO and had money. But he's like, no, let's get pizza. And eventually he explodes on her, and he's like, we need pizza. We don't have any money. And he had lied to her before. He's still lying even to his daughter. And
compulsive
so
liar, that Charles.
Like, yes, we can get pizza, and just showing that Charles has been driven to the absolute bottom. And then next scene, he goes back to the work, accepts the job as a janitor because he needs food in order to feed his family. And then, interestingly, I added in a montage where we see Charles truly being not happy, but people being nice to him. And I feel like it's the first time where people have been nice to him, and people really appreciate what he does as a janitor, and they're all, really happy that he's there, and they're talking to him, and he's actually being appreciated. So I wanted to have that in there, as this janitor job.
Gotta appreciate the janitors.
Is good for him because he's actually being seen and appreciated for what he does and being treated like a human being, and he treats other people like a human being. And then at the end of the montage, we have Mr. Mandy, the CEO of the company he's being a janitor for, basically talks to him and says, I've seen your resume. I heard you were a CEO of your own company. Everyone loves you. No, we have a managerial position that just opened. Come talk to me. So then we have that prospect. Charles is about to, step up from being at rock bottom, and he goes grocery shopping and basically sees the psychic office it ignites whole feelings, 6
The
months
flame.
of struggles. And he goes in and he tells Mira, basically, F you, I'm about to be on top again. I'm being offered this managerial position. You said I was going to be at rock bottom, but I'm about to be on top again. Basically boasting to her that
He
he's
had
back
to
on top.
rub it
So he
in.
sees he hasn't really changed from this experience. And then he goes back home and he tells Lily, which is important because for the end reveal, Lily kind of pries about how his job's going, and he tells Lily, I'm about to be promoted. I'm going to talk to my boss Tamari about being promoted out of the janitor position.
Tomorrow.
So then skip to the next day. He's about to meet with Mr. Mandy, who owns the company, and Mandy basically says he heard about what happened. He asks Charles, why did he leave the company being a CEO? Charles said he sold the company because he doesn't want to admit he got kicked out. He lies to Mandy. Mandy catches him, says he knows about why he got kicked out.
Liars get caught.
And he knows about the affair he had, and he knows pretty much all about Charles. And then Mr. Mandy mentions that the psychic lady outside the building was right, and Charles is like, what? And he's like, she prophesied that a liar would be offered a promotion at my company, so I was testing you out to see if you're a liar, and you were. So now Charles connects the dots, sees that Mira's been tampering with his life, and that's how we end Act 3, which propels us into Act 4, which is basically his plan to get back at her now that he has all this information that she has been screwing up his life.
Charles is angry.
So now we have Act 4, which is pretty short, only about 4 pages, so pretty short. Act 4 definitely could have been beefed up a little bit. But we start Act 4 with Charles catching Lily dancing again. He gets angry, tells her she shouldn't be dancing, she should be doing homework and studying. And again, that's like kind of the last straw. We end Act 3 with him not getting the promotion. He comes back at the beginning of Act 4, sees Lily dancing. He's riled up. He's again at rock bottom. Then we see him at a bar with this woman. We assume that they've met through like maybe a dating app or Instagram or something, because she assumes that he's still a CEO of the company. She's like, I want to go see a rich person's house. And then he takes her back to the apartment. He tries to lie again, telling that his real mansion is in New York or something. She doesn't buy it and she leaves. So now he's failed in pretty much all aspects of his life. And we have Mira show up at the apartment right after, saying that basically she's here to make peace offering. He doesn't take that. He gets extremely angry, says that she's pretty much ruined his life and that he is going to now ruin hers. And we end Act 4 with some quick shots of him buying matches and lighter fluid at the convenience store. So now we have Act 5, brings us into Act 5. So Act 4, you want kind of the plan to bring you into the motion of the
ocean
finale into Act 5. So we end Act 4 with the shots of him buying matches and a lighter fluid, which is his plan to now get back at Mira, and then Act 5 is the enactment of that. So we get in Act 5 with Lily in her apartment. We hear a knock at the door. We think it's Charles who lost his key or something. Lily answers the door and finds Mira. Now, big reveal, we find out that Lily and Mira have been talking, and Lily's been the one who's been feeding Mira information about Charles's job because she resents him for not letting her dance, and she thinks that her dad deserves everything that Mira's done, and she thinks that Charles is happier as a janitor, so that's why she's told Mira about the big investor and about the possible promotion. So that's one of the big reveals that we'd set up, and that's why it was important for Lily to get that information out of Charles in one of the earlier scenes. Mira kind of says, Lily is like, should we call the police? Because Mira says he's probably going to storm my office to get back at me. Mira says, no, I probably deserved it, which is kind of weak. They probably in real life would have called the police, but... And then
I would have called the police.
Lily says, we can see your office from the...
Ain't no one burning down my
of the apartment
office.
building, which is pretty random as well. But they go up. We cut to the psychic office where
Random
Charles
isn't good.
is basically trying to burn down the place. I wanted to escalate the tension, so I had him douse the place in lighter fluid, and then he's striking the match, none of them works. So he finally gives up. He's about to leave, and then we see incense burning, and I mentioned the incense the first time Lily entered the psychic room. I said there was incense burning, so we come back to that,
Bring it back
Chekhov's
around.
gun, and he sees the incense burning. He takes the incense, throws it into the lighter fluid, and the place catches fire. Lily and Miro watch the place burn from the rooftop, and then Charles bursts onto the rooftop. I forgot to mention, at the end of Act 4, when Mira confronts Charles with a peace offering, they get into a fight. Mira basically says, go against me or else. And Charles says, or else what? And then Mira goes, or else. And then she stammers, and then she's like, or else bowling balls are going to fall from the sky. So that's where we have
pretty big thing to forget.
Her wild prediction of bowling balls are going to fall from the sky. We know it's probably not going to happen because even she doubts that she has powers.
She's a phone.
She's going through all these lengths to make her predictions real. She, obviously believes that her predictions won't come real unless she makes them come real. So she miraculously says, bowling balls are going to come from the sky. At the end, she talks to Lily, and she admits that she's a fraud. Lily they have a moment between themselves. Lily gets kind of sad, and she's like, I'm not going to be a dancer. And Mira says, no, that one was right. You will be a dancer. And then Charles comes onto the roof to watch his, masterpiece. Mira and Lily are hiding behind a vent on the rooftop as well. Mira's concentrating. Lily tells her that her predictions are correct. And now we have the bowling ball scene from the teaser, and bowling balls start falling from the sky. And that's how we end the pilot episode. The explanation toward the end wasn't that great, but basically how we leave the episode, Mira does have psychic abilities. She can make predictions happen, or she can see predictions, and something that is miraculous and can't happen in normal day life. So I like that part, tying in the sentence and making it a realistic sentence I thought was cool. And then ending the episode and telling the viewer that this series is going to be about more than just ordinary life.
Magic.
I kind of wanted that through the pilot, for you to think that there's really nothing paranormal happening here, but then we have this big moment at the ending where her prediction comes to life, and it's something not physically possible. We end it with Charles being pushed to the brink, and him kind of burning down this place, and him being paid reparations by having this miraculous thing happen. So we're left wondering, how are bowling balls falling from the sky going to affect how this guy sees the world? And so I like the direction that Charles and Mira are left. I think they both have interesting directions that they could go throughout the season, and I think it does make us want to watch them and see where they go. So I think that's a plus, and that's how you always want to end a pilot, is wondering, well, what's going to happen next, and how is this story going to play out. Some things I would probably go over are just Charles's emotions throughout the script, and also how he feels about things, because I feel like we don't really know how he feels about his situation as a janitor. We obviously know that he hates it, but we don't really know how he feels when other people are talking to him. So I feel like maybe if he was talking to Lily, and there was a scene where he's talking to his daughter, and he kind of admits that he likes it, sort of, and that's where she goes off of, that he's better off being a janitor than a managerial guy who makes a lot of money. I know we're going to come back to the janitor thing,
Classic
so I'm fine with keeping
guy.
that brief in the pilot for now. If I thought that we weren't going to be coming back to the janitor thing, then I would have made that part longer, but I think if more episodes were to be written, we'd come back to him being a janitor. But yeah, that episode was rough to write. Like I said, in the middle of Act 2, I really wanted to give up, and I really wanted to not write anymore.
But you didn't.
It's so easy to give up on things like this.
It is.
Just because it takes so much time, and after like 7 or 8 hours have passed, sometimes it seems like it's impossible, and you get burnt out. But I did it faster than I did the last one, so just goes to show you, if you really just focus and put your mind to it, you can do it. And obviously it's not a great pilot. It's not the best thing I've written. None of these things that I'm doing in less than 12 hours are the best thing I've written, but I'm teaching myself to be focused,
Sure, they
be
aren't.
quick, and to really try to get to the basis of what my character's wants, needs are, and the basis of story, and try to get those down. And I think the basic elements of the story are there, and it does have potential as a story in my mind. And for seasons to come, there's good conflict about Charles and himself, Charles and Lily, Charles and Mira, having the relationship between Mira and Lily that's still unknown to Charles at this moment, and we can play that up. So I think the basic story elements are there, and that's really what I want to get out of this, is to strengthen those aspects of my writing. Awesome. Thanks for watching again.
You're welcome.
And till next time.
Boom. It's my best part. My favorite part coming up.